She be saying it all the time. I know she do.
Say that.
I know she do. I know she does, for real. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 3 p.m. and thank you so much for joining me today. This is Afternoon with Delight. Today I'm just running a little bit, not behind, but just, rushing around in my mind and in my brain on today, hoping that I can get it together a little bit. But thanks once again, everybody, for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate the outpouring of love I have been getting. And with me in the studio today is Leah. Get on screen, Leah, and wave to the people. But we have another presence in the studio today. It is Miss Marilyn Dean Cleveland.
Hello.
Let's have a round of applause for this young lady. She is miraculous. We appreciate her anytime that she graces us with her presence. Miss Marilyn.
Yes.
Would you love to have a hot seat today? Because we got a lot of topics to discuss today. We really do.
What's the first one?
You know what? Today, let's talk about this presidential candidate race. And did you get a chance to watch it live when they did the debate this week?
Part of it. I missed a lot of it, but I did watch it.
Oh, Miss Marilyn, it was something different.
Yeah, it was.
Let me go ahead and say my legal ID. This is at the top of the hour. I say this to everybody, and every time I get online. WRFULP Urbana. This is their disclaimer. And WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. Views and expressions are those of the speaker and guests and not intended to represent WRFU-UCIMC. Let me get that out of the way. So, Miss Marilyn, what are your opinions about that? Would you like to share a little bit? Because I pop this mic on for you, and you can sit right there.
I'll sit right here. Or would you rather me sit over?
You could sit over here, Miss Marilyn. So you can be a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, I'm comfortable. I'm always more or less.
Is my mic right there? Where's my mic?
I don't know.
I don't need it, Miss Marilyn.
You don't need it.
All right, Miss Marilyn.
What you want to hear?
All right. I want to hear your opinions about.
Well, I tell you, it was comical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he never did really answer any questions that was asked of him. He kind of dodged everything.
He really did. He dodged quite a
and
bit.
I think Kamala ate him up.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you.
She rated him in every discussion that they had. She
I would
rated
agree.
him in every subject. So it was something.
It was definitely
It
that,
was
Miss Marilyn.
definitely
It was definitely, for the lack of better words, as you about to get ready to say. I was like, what is going on here? It was kind of disturbing because I'm like,
It was like him playing in the sandbox, and she was the overseer of the sandbox.
that is so true. I love the way you just put that. I love the way you just put that because that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I feel some kind of way about the whole situation. I mean, I understand we've got to vote and everybody has, they have to take their stance and do what they feel is right, I guess.
Right.
As far as voting is concerned, I'm totally with that. I'm a big component of getting out here and assisting people to register.
Yeah.
Because I think we did a lot, especially for our people, to get out here and make a difference. Right? Yeah. To get out here and make a difference in the community and in the lives that we encounter daily. And what better representation is than to have that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just, I got a lot of opinions.
Let's hear them.
I don't like the candidate selection, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I'm not trying to, decide Democrat or Republican. That's not where I'm at. Like, I'm a happy medium. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm split because I know what the Democratic Party was established on. Mm-hmm. So I know that wasn't necessarily for the people. Okay? And I'm not really with the Republican, even though I have more traditional values that I would stick with on that.
Right.
So it's like, what do you do if you're an independent, but we don't have any independent
That's running.
that's even running, Miss
I
Marilyn?
know.
You know, so they talk about picking between the lesser of two evils. My God, this is that for me, you know. I mean, my dude selection, you know, I'm going to go with who I think is the best person for me to pick.
As far as,
Right.
yeah.
What I'm in alignment with, however, that even there's a fine discrepancy between that, Miss Mary. You know what I mean? It's so much. It's a lot that I disagree with. So it's like, what do you pick? You know,
Who do you choose that's more
right?
elevated to getting this country back upright?
Right.
You know, that was a quote that Sojourner Truth made. You know, she said, I'm not saying it verbatim, but she said, if men would let women get this world back upright again.
Wow.
You know, I can't remember the whole phrase that she did, but she was saying that if women could do all this other things, that if they could do whatever they were doing, to let them get this world upright again, because right now it's upside down.
It is.
You know,
it is.
It doesn't seem that it's going to get any better until we come to an understanding of each other's differences.
Truly.
And we haven't done that yet.
We can't even do that within our own neighborhoods or families yet.
And that brings me to the point of what is the difference between a neighborhood and a community?
Wow. That's a good one, Miss Marilyn.
What's the difference? I mean,
that's a good one, Miss Marilyn.
Community is like family. It protects its own.
Truly.
And you know,
right,
basically everybody.
Right.
You know, now, in my community, which is, you know, a small little area in Havana, small little street.
Right.
And to me, that is my community, because people are looking out for one another, even though there's shades and doors and closed. We're closing our doors and we're closing our shades and
closing everything up.
And closing everything up. And I guess in this day and time, you need to be careful. But you can't close yourself up from humanity.
You know what?
And that's what we have done.
That is the truth, Miss Marilyn.
We have closed ourselves
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But I just had I think this was about a week or so ago. I just said this about formulating your own community. And what does that look like? I think that was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is what I brought up when we were on the air. I'm like, you know, I had like a bunch of friends that I have. They are from different countries, different nationalities. So they have a really, really strong like accent. And so a lot of times I find that people will, you know, totally lie to them, discriminate against them based on the fact that they really can't understand what they're saying and vice versa, right?
Right.
So a lot of manipulation is done, you know. A lot of manipulation is done, right? And so I say, who do you formulate as your community if you're not from here? You know, and then you have to depend upon people to get the answers that you need
for you
to survive.
Yeah.
But who can you depend on for that if you don't really know people and you're not really, you know, as trusting to people?
Right.
And, you know, other things can transpire. We already know that. So then the breakdown of the church, like the connection between, like I say this all the time, you know, I think a lot of what we're seeing now is that no community anymore.
Yeah, because like I said, to me, a community is looking out for each other. But see, when you live in a neighborhood,
right,
that's what it is, a neighborhood. Everybody is in their own little neighborly place.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But community is like we take care of each other. I mean, it's good to know people, and a lot of times right now, you don't know who your people are.
No.
Not saying that the neighborhood, you don't know the neighborhood, but you don't know the people,
right?
Because the people have made up that neighborhood.
That's the truth.
So in the community, people love each other. They let the sunshine come in the house. You know, for instance, say for myself. Now I think that I personally live in a community. Maybe I'm just breaking myself off from the whole town, but in my heart I'm in a community,
right?
Because the people around me, they know basically about me or what I'm doing. Not that they're in my business all the time,
right?
But my grandsons wanted me to move. But I didn't want to move out of my community.
True.
Because I was used to being there.
Right.
People knew who I was.
True.
And for me being, you know, elderly, senior, seasoned, right, young lady,
right,
I made a signal. In my neighborhood. So if I get up in the morning and I open my curtains, and later on in the day, I open my door.
Right. And so, if they don't see that.
And if they don't see those two things open up.
Right.
Within, a day?
Exactly.
Or 2 days?
They know that something is wrong.
They know something is wrong.
Right.
But, you know, and
it's like your own distress
that's
signal.
Right. That's what I do. I mean, I'm not saying everybody should do that. No, but I'm comfortable.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's really important. But you know what? Let's go take that a little bit further.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because if you're raised in community, you know how we were raised. Like I got to go back to church because in church we knew a set amount of children, right?
Right.
So even when we left church, most of the time we went to school with these same children, right? Y'all were taught how to get along in church.
Right.
You were taught how to, right? You had vacation Bible school. You had choir rehearsal. You had, you know, if y'all had evangelists coming, everybody knew that y'all was finna get in line and y'all mama was finna make y'all get in line. Your daddy was gonna make you get in line. But you all knew each other. So when you migrated through these stepping stones called life,
yes,
you know,
we lost it.
We lost that completely.
Lost that. And it's not. It says like we should take care of one another.
Right.
What's that phrase about? Raising a child in the community.
It takes a community to raise it.
Yeah. And nowadays you can't help other people raise their kids.
No, and you know what? That's the truth. But
right.
The way that the migration out, because there was a great, I like to call it the great migration out of church. You know, because a lot of people, and I can only speak for myself, I was offended by a lot of things that different pastors and preachers did.
Or said.
You know, or said, or their children. Because I can go that deep. So they made me feel some kind of way. Instead of the pastor coming and rectifying the situation, or even like most recently, you know, I was in a situation where my dad had passed away and I was an active member of this church and they never acted like they were family to me. Never. You hear me? And you know, and I'm going through sitting up there with my dad. You know what I'm saying? Nobody offered me a biscuit. And why am I paying tithes and offerings? So then, Miss Marilyn, this is where we're going. So, but those are things that I got to question. So when my feelings get hurt, right? Because we're learning how to deal with feelings when we get a little bit older.
Right.
And instead of being on a mature level, because we can't even expect the preacher or the pastor to come to you and be like, you know what, I wronged you. He's not going to say that to you. So you have to step into your discernment, your authority.
Your
Absolutely.
truth. Yeah, your truth.
And you have to be proactive instead of what we're doing now is being reactive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll react because of what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of making these, like I said, about getting to know people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even you need to get to know your pastor or your preacher. You got to get to know them.
Right.
And so, like, those things like that, I can see why the great migration of young people
Mm-hmm.
completely fell off, because now we don't even take our children to church anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I raised my kids are in their 30s, you know, late 20s.
Right.
And my last one is a teenager, almost out of high school right now.
Right.
But for those first three, you could ask them what they did in church.
Yeah, we took our
Exactly.
sons to church.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we didn't just send them.
Absolutely.
We took them.
Right,
I mean, Michael,
right.
Mark, and John,
Right.
those are their names.
Mm-hmm.
And we took them
Mm-hmm.
to church. And
Mm-hmm.
even now,
Mm-hmm.
I am so proud of my 3 sons.
Right.
They still say yes, ma'am, to me.
Right. I get that too.
Wait a minute. And then they still say their prayers.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
son, my middle son, has this old raggedy Bible.
Mm.
I mean, it's raggedy.
It's red. He
That's
used
right.
it.
He uses it.
Right.
And when he comes to my house, girl,
Oh, my
he's in
gosh.
that room
Right.
with this old raggedy green Bible open, and he's there for a long time.
I'm telling you.
Sometimes I have to see if he's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But he still have that mentality
I know.
of reading his Bible,
I know.
and he stays on his knees just like my grandparents did.
Yeah.
You know, they prayed a
Yes.
long time.
Yes. Hey.
You know,
We
and
know.
I am so proud of that.
Right.
That they still have
That
that relationship with
I can say
God
that too.
and
Mhm.
with me.
I can say that too.
Yes.
Totally, I can say
Yes. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
my baby son would go, his father would hold him
Mm.
while we're in church. And my youngest son, John, he would play with his ear, his father's ear,
that. Mm.
and he would listen.
Mm.
And I remember one time, and this is kind of, it's not really morbid, it was just kind of funny.
Right.
We went to a funeral, and we was at church, and everybody was walking out, and he said, "Hallelujah."
Mm.
You know, he was about 4 or 5
Right,
years
right.
old.
Cause he in church.
But he's in church.
Right.
You know.
He gonna play off his memory.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. I think my oldest son is 62.
Wow.
And my middle son, I think, is 52. And then John is 49. But they still have that mentality of church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you get so disappointed
That's so true.
in what's going on that you just want to step back and look
That is the truth, though.
and see if it's
Yeah.
you that's not prepared,
Mhm.
or you that's not seeing things like they're seeing them.
That's the truth, though,
No.
Miss Marilyn.
But we grew up in church. My
That's what I'm
sons
telling
grew
you.
up in church.
Right.
You know, I'm not knocking the churches now. I'm
Right,
not.
right.
But it has changed so much.
Right. That's my point.
Changed.
That's my point right there.
You know, and I think your daughters were talking. Your daughter and your friend was talking about that last week,
Mm-hmm.
about how we get our young people in church.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be going out on a limb, but we don't get our youth in church by having music of the outside.
It's